The only thing else, yeah, we are now live, Bruce. There you go. So you can.
I get all them. Haven't you got one of them clapper things? A happy clapper, one of them.
I am a happy clapper. Well, kind of.
3,
I'm both,
3,
apparently.
2, 1, live.
Now, be honest, you're one of the furthest things away from a happy clapper, mate.
I get both. So I'm going to go with I'm doing fine. But what's going on here? There's a lot of people coming in.
The front door open.
Yeah,
that's me. Yeah, sorry. Well, I don't know. I bought a new pressure washer, Bruce. 99 quid from Farm Food. So if anybody wants a new pressure washer, it is an absolute bargain. Get yourself down to Farm Foods.
Farm Foods are doing pressure
99
washers.
quid's a bargain.
99 quid for a Karcher professional pressure washer. Yeah.
Oh, they've had your pants down, mate. No, they've had your 99 quid in Farm Foods. Isn't that just like a shop with a freezer in it?
Yeah, and it had that in it. Bargain.
Fucking cold.
Like Aldi's middle aisle. Was it like that?
Yeah, exactly. Like what was it? It's a Karcher HD 4-8.
How do you remember that?
That really go for about nothing to
it's 290 quid Screwfix.
Oh, it's knockoff then.
No.
So why have you got it for £99 if it's £200? Surely you should have bought 10 and plugged them to Screwfix.
He's probably bought them off you, Bruce.
Oh yeah, Bruce, haven't you got an iPad to sell?
Yes, I have.
Go on then. I see the box there.
Lovely. Hang on. That's not a box. You're a bit nosy, aren't you? That's not a box. I need to be careful what you can see. Actually. I need to be careful what you can see. Actually, I'll just put that down there.
No, that's not helpful.
No, lovely. They are. Very nice. iOS 17. 3 years old.
I mean, the iOS is not dependent on what iPad it is. It just comes with it.
It runs the latest. It needs to run the latest. If the price goes down, though, mate.
Can you use an Apple Pencil on it?
80s music.
Oh, it was the selling music. I couldn't think of anything else.
It sounds like I need to get like a dodgy bar.
I needed to get a generation game sort of style or QVC music in the background instead.
I've still got my shorts on.
How do, Sam? Mark, when the game was that bad, the main topic is Alex's new pressure washer. Thanks, Mark. I knew you'd be happy. It's a good pressure washer, though. I'll send a link to everyone if you need it. Farm Foods, there's one in Immingham. Where's the nearest Farm Foods for you, Bruce? Nearest mine's Basingstoke, bloody miles away.
What, you spent like 200 quid in petrol to get your 99 quid pressure washer that you could have a Screwfix for?
It's got hybrid.
So did you go specially to get it?
No, I also went to get something else as well.
Some food.
Can of pop.
Which is usually what you go to farm.
From Farm Food. How far away is it?
Good question. It's about.
I don't need you to Google it. Just approximately.
I think it's about 30 minutes.
30 minutes, and
so it's an hour there, I guess. There, round trip.
So you're saying if I go to Jack Fulton's, I might be able to get like a leaf blower?
I don't know. I don't know if they're
Iceland and a lawnmower, something like that.
Go to where, Mike?
Sam, go get one. You'll love it.
Jack Fulton's. You never heard of it? It might be a Yorkshire thing.
Yeah, it is. I've never heard of it.
No, I've never heard of him.
It's basically a rip-off of Farm Foods, I think. But
Sam is doing his best. Sam Bevan is doing his absolute best to drag us back onto the football. He said, Swindon fans online are saying we are in a false position and one of the best teams they've had at their place. I'm not surprised. We're one of the few that hasn't shipped in a load of goals.
Sam, we'll get onto the football, Sam, when we've spoken about, lawnmowers and...
Right, so who needs an iPad and who needs a pressure washer and who needs a print? Because we've got to sell them as well. They're going all right. And we've got loads of stickers in it. I saw Marina Hoddo putting out a load of stuff yesterday. Bruce, I've got to give you some more. Actually, no, you took a load. So did Mike.
I think I got rid of mine on the pod night out, though. I stuck them all over town.
Yeah, that's true. I saw Dan Marsden has been transferred from the barge to the Market Tavern. At the undisclosed fee, I think. But I wonder if that was the final straw, having to, peel all of them off from your hijinks, Bruce.
That one that I placed on as you go into the barge was it looked like it was actually part of what was supposed to be there until you look closely and it wasn't. No, actually, sorry, that wasn't me, by the way. That was Sam Barrick.
Oh, that's true. It was Sam.
That wasn't
Sam was very inebriated.
Where's the last place we went to, Bruce? My memory's a bit sketchy because you put like 8 in there.
Did we go to the Swashy?
Ah, that's the place. Yeah.
You took him to the Swashy. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
No, you'd gone home by then, I think, hadn't you?
Yeah, I went to VKH. I tried to relive the early noughties. I went from the barge to VKH and then went home.
Well, we had to go home.
We went all the way from the cricket club, didn't we, into town just to go to the barge? And to be fair, you were all well happy to go there, weren't you? It was good. And then we got the bus back, didn't we, Mike?
We got a bus into Cleethorpes and then we got a cab back because Sam couldn't quite manage any other form of having to be putting something to be
They wouldn't put him in a taxi. Sam was done.
That bus though was absolutely. I've never been on a bus that got me from Grimsby to Cleethorpes. So what time was it? About 11:30 or something, wasn't it? And it was like we got on the bus and like 2 minutes later we were going up Isaacs Hill. It was brilliant, and it was £2 or something.
They kept looking at Sam's face, going, "I'm not cleaning this."
Yeah, driver had his foot down. He'd rather get done for speeding than clean up Sam's puke.
Yeah,
Are we on? Oh, we are.
We have been on for a while. Welcome everyone to the N35 podcast. Thank you for coming along. I know, we could just put on last week's on repeat and just go from there. But there are some minor differences to this defeat compared to last week's defeat, and we will take you through them in very little detail in a minute. But thank you for coming along. If you've got any thoughts on it, we've got Barrow on Tuesday night. I couldn't find a Barrow fan. Quell surprise. But we do have... maybe we should have got the person on from, the Wetherspoons, Bruce, at Barrow. He should have had an apology. Oh, my God, it's giving him bad memories.
I'm going to I'm almost to the toilet.
He's off to the toilet.
Yeah, he's thinking of the spoons already.
It's like when you get hypnotized, and it's like every time somebody says Wetherspoons or Barrow, you're going to just walk off to the toilet.
I blame the Weller for that as well.
No, you don't, because we haven't got lawyers.
God, I was ill.
It was a bad one. Do you know what? We were organising an event in Barrow because they do the submarine stuff up there, and we were talking about it. So that's the only thing I know about Barrow is you don't trust their Wetherspoons. And they went, yeah, I remember that. He got shut down for like 2 weeks.
I was shitting and bloody puking for 2 weeks.
I can imagine, but you look a lot better for it, Bruce. Thin, svelte, quicker on the tarmac.
I'm not sure about that. I didn't in the car.
On that note, should we roll titles on that note?
Right, let's begin this professional podcast by doing the professional thing and running our professional theme tune. I am Lorcan.
Open wide for some soccer!
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1130. Go! At 1130.
I don't think I've ever wanted to be in a stand more than my life around there. They're going crazy. They got a penalty here. They've been fish flying about that. There's no tomorrow.
What a magnificent piece of football! A really, really good goal. You can't make it straight like that.
The theme tune is the best bit of the entire show. After that, it's all downhill. I'm confident in saying that. I think that's the best bit of the entire thing. Welcome along to the DN35 podcast. Town lost again. We'll talk about it, I guess. We really want your thoughts on it as well, because, I think it's a little bit different from the defeat, though it didn't make me any less pissed off that we lost. And I would like to get your thoughts on it as well. There are some people still in the, Hurst out headspace. And hopefully there are less of them there than there were against Crawley. But it'll be interesting to get your thoughts on it. If you do want him gone, who do you want? Because that's always the follow-up question. And that would be great to hear from you. And if we don't want him to go, why? Because we'd love to get that thought as well. I'm joined by Mike and Bruce. Bruce, did you go? Or are you with Maisie's game?
No, her games are 10:30 kickoff, mate. So it's getting hard. It's harder at the minute. I'll try and get to I think hopefully going to Stockport. Which is always a good away day.
It's just hard to do. 27 quid yesterday for that game. That's ridiculous.
I know a few that didn't go because of that.
And it looked a lot less, actually. 391, I think it was, away fans yesterday. A lot less than what we usually take there, from what I could see on the telly as well. And, you know, who can blame it on that price and also in this form, I guess.
It's got a good following, though, isn't it? But it's
it's
lower. It's less than we would. It's less than we would take, definitely.
Evening, Ben. Nice to have you along. Evening, Luke, as well. Evening, Tim. Evening, Andrew. Luke Clarkson, let's start this off. He says, I thought we looked quite good in spells yesterday. Tough run of games to start, players still gelling, injuries, some lacking form. It's time for calm heads. They'll come good, I'm certain. Mark Walter, who tends to have a different position on that, says 2 wins in 10 and 12 points thrown away from winning positions. Yesterday was one of our best attacking displays for a while, and we couldn't hit the broadside of barn door with a shotgun from a pace away. So, number of different positions. I was lucky enough to watch most of it. And yeah, bloody hell. How the hell did we didn't score on a couple of those? I don't know. And, you know, especially that one where it went to the byline and Clifton had a chance to pull it back to 3 guys. Pulled it back to, was it, who did he pull it back to, Mike? Who was the one that had the shot?
I think he pulled it back to nobody, and the defender mucked it up, and Rose just, I don't know if Rose missed it or the keeper pulled a worldie, but I thought it actually went to the defender who mucked it up, to be fair, so it didn't go to anybody.
Yeah, because I was thinking that pass that he made to try and slot them in the second half. So if you looked up, there are 3 Town players there in positions to be able to slot that away. The guy at the far post is, you know, perfect. Well, I think it was it Issa at the far post or was it Ganua?
I think it's Issa.
And you know, that pass didn't have anything like the pace you needed to get it to him. So it wasn't exactly going for him, but it's, you know, what can Hurst do when he puts them in them sort of situations? That and the Clifton one. It wasn't as big a defeat. I was expecting a hammering yesterday. I've got to be entirely honest. Bruce, what were your Mike looks keen. Sorry, Mike, what were you going to say?
No, you know, the frustrating thing, I think I said yesterday, is I was really pissed off last week for several reasons about the game and losing and what have you. And this week, the frustrating thing is I wasn't angry. I was just gutted because we went away to a very, very good attacking Swindon team. Not so good defensively, but they are very, very good at getting the ball forward and creating chances. And I think we matched, if not bettered them in terms of attacking play. Definitely at times, but I think throughout the balance of the game, I think we had the better chances. And there comes a point when you can have a go at tactics, you can have a go at how we set up, you can have a go at all sorts of things, but if professional football players are in those positions we saw on Saturday, they've got to put them away. You know, none of those players that missed chances yesterday are players that we think are playing above their level. I think they're all League Two players. I don't think there's anybody that's sort of faking and living at this level. So Danny Rose, Harry Clifton, other people, you've got to be putting those away. And, you know, what, from my point of view, I don't know what more Paul Hurst could have done yesterday. I don't think we set up particularly negatively. I think we, in the second half, changed a few things which made it harder for them to get up. I think the first half, the midfield was an issue, and that led to the first goal. And yeah, I think we went toe-to-toe with a really good Swindon side. Hello? They've all gone.
No, sorry. I was just fucking about with the camera.
I think we went toe-to-toe with a really good Swindon side, unbeaten so far this season. And it's disappointing to be coming away with less than we deserved. And on the back of the results we've had and the frustrations we've had, that sort of makes it even more. But from my point of view, I think that was better than expected. I don't think it can be a negative in the Paul Hurst column. I think that was a good performance. It was fine margin. So I'm more disappointed than anything. I was really angry last week, but I'm just disappointed this week, to be honest with you.
Bruce, this is a Swindon team that, you know, have scored 26 goals so far this season, the highest goal scorers in the league. We gave a good run against them, didn't we? And what were your overriding thoughts of the game and what came from it?
Excuse me. I'll be honest. I didn't watch it properly. I had a few beers yesterday by the time the game finished, but we wanted. Or we thought that a reasonable return, didn't we? We keep coming back to this, but it's relevant. Was 12 to 14 points from that tricky opening game of opening run of 8 games, and we've now got 10 points from 10 games. It's not great, is it? It's not. I'm not saying get him gone or anything like that, but it's not great. And how many times can we be unlucky in front of goal? We've signed these players, we're picking these players, and if they're not doing the business, then we need to shake it up. So I think it's not great, and it just, when you keep losing games as we have done in this run, it puts more pressure on the next game, doesn't it? Tuesday night, if we're all sort of chuntering away, walking down Grimsby Road, we've missed chances again. It's difficult, isn't it? It's not, nobody enjoys this sort of run, but I don't think, I stick by what I said, that, my thoughts on the manager, and I know you didn't directly ask me about the manager, but till Christmas, it would be, if we're not improving by Christmas, I mean, if we haven't won in another 5 or 6 games, then that changes, that changes my thought process. But I just think, we need to be better. It was better yesterday. I agree with Mike. It was better yesterday than last week, and I probably did think we'd get well beaten yesterday, and it was okay. But it's another defeat on the back of. You see, the big problem is losing at home to Crawley, isn't it? That's chucking away that win. Losing at Wrexham and losing at Swindon are not bad results, but when you chuck a 2-goal lead away at home, that's another game in between where it's now 3 defeats in a row, when it might have only been the last game that we'd lost. I think that was before, wasn't it? But you know what I mean? It puts pressure on. So it puts pressure now, a heap of pressure onto Tuesday, because if we don't win Tuesday, then we've got Tranmere away. They're doing crap, but our record recently at Tranmere is not very good.
And it's an interesting one, isn't it? Where I guess I wonder if there's the question I wanted to ask really before you start to go on with that was, has Hurst stumbled upon something out of desperation yesterday where he finally relented? I think my main concern of Hurst has been, since he's returned, is our strikers always cut quite lonely figures up front. And even with McAtee and Taylor, when they were at their very best, it didn't take long before that was, disjointed sort of come Christmas time, and then they were struggling to reconnect. Did he stumble across something yesterday with Rose and Donovan Wilson up front? And is that what he wants, intending to do this season, but hasn't had the opportunity to do since because of injuries?
I think only time will tell, won't it? But I was thinking about this before we came on, and I just don't. A lot of teams play similar formations, don't they now? And it's all. I don't think the lower leagues, whether we were spoilt years ago, in the.
It's really boring.
The Buckley, it's nobody. What teams would you say come and a gung ho and sort of go for it a bit, and
Swindon,
and really sort of are exciting to watch. How many teams do we have?
Can you remember the last time? Yeah, can you remember the last time we broke in anger, like in terms of everyone sprinting forward? When was the last time you remember seeing that? Because I would go back to Crewe, but that was only McAtee or whoever the guy that everyone loved on loan that I've now forgotten his name of. That's him, the bloke who was the Liberal Democrat MP back in the 19th century. That was just them on the run. No one else bolts with them. I can't remember. Danny Coyne used to do those massive throws over to Macca, and then bang, you're away. Everyone's gone. I don't see that here. Or am I just? Sorry, I'm taking over your point.
No, I agree. I just don't think lower league football, even the Premier League is, and I watched the Championship. I watched the Sheffield Wednesday game the other night, and I mean they're woeful, aren't they, Wednesday? But some of them were quite entertaining. But I don't know what League One's like, but the football to watch football in the conference, I would say, is a lot more entertaining than it is. And I don't want to go back to the conference ever again. But the football is, there are more teams that play decent football than I think there are in League Two. And this is this league that's got all this money. They're saying what a strong league it is this year, and I still just don't. It's just turgid a lot of the time, isn't it? And it's just not. It's not great to watch, and I think that's what doesn't help. That's not what doesn't help fans getting on people's backs. When we are losing, they were playing one up front. Which is all right. It's probably the same as 18 teams in the division do. But when you lose, fans that remember the old 4-4-2 that everybody used to play, where you've got two wingers airing down the touch lines, trying to sling some balls in the box for your big striker and your little striker, or your two little strikers, as we used to always play. He just
Paul Hurst up front.
yeah, diving header. But yeah, so it's meh. That's how I feel about the whole thing at the minute.
I would like to see him play two up front. I know we've discussed about it a little bit, and I think that little sight of Wilson coming on, great turn, good bit of movement, and a good finish. I'd like to see that upside Rose, and Rose is more of a provider. I sort of think, he doesn't get many goals, but I mean, he's always doing something. He's always turning the ball over or creating chances. I think yesterday we did try and get Clifton up higher, like we've said before, that get somebody up alongside Rose.
He was,
but I don't think he was good enough. I think he had a poor game in terms of in front of goal in the final third. I think it's a bit harsh to say he had a poor game overall, but I think for what he needs to be doing on the pitch to warrant being played as that player trying to get up alongside Rose, he needs to do better. So I'd like to see try it a little bit, get rid of that midfielder that's trying to push up with Rose and just stick two of them up there. And there's going to be a point of sometimes you're going to get overrun in midfield. Just live with it. Maybe play Conte in there and Houlihan. I don't know why Houlihan's not our sort of, other than Conte, I don't know why Houlihan's not the second name on the team sheet in midfield, because I think we're a lot better with him recently. And I'd be interested to know why he didn't play yesterday. I think he just brings an element of calm, experience on the ball and out of possession as well. I think yesterday we looked really, for everything they did well on the ball with Andrews, Hunt and Clifton, we just looked like we were a little bit short of a bit of experience and a bit of bite in there. And I think first half, definitely that's where the battle was lost. Second half, some changes, and it didn't really manufacture itself from a Swindon perspective as well as it had. They sat back a little bit more and hit us on the break. But I'd like to see just put two decent midfielders in there. Your job there, get hold of the ball, break down the attacks, and have four attackers, two wide, two up front, and just see what happens. Because definitely something needs to change. You can't just keep going this way. We're creating chances. That's not a problem. It's finishing them. So stick another body in the box. Just there's another person to hit and see what happens.
So Jack Griffin says, I'm still Hurst out and replacing with someone with a good record in League Two. Jack, you are more than welcome to be Hurst out on this show, but you need to show your workings. Who is this good person you would, in League Two to replace him with? If he went tomorrow, Shrewsbury came knocking, I would quite like the guy at Gateshead, Mike Williamson, because I think he's doing a great job and they're playing some beautiful stuff. And I'd quite like him to come here. Conte knows him quite well, so, it'd be a useful one. Mike?
Oh, I was just going to say that. I thought he was moving on. All I was going to say is I understand the Hurst out now. I understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. The point I and others make is it wasn't as valid 10 games ago when some people were still as Hurst out after one game or before any games. It wasn't valid at the end of last season or in pre-season. That's the difference. At the minute, I understand there's legitimate concerns. That's fine. But there always does seem to be a section, doesn't matter how we've done on the pitch, there is always that argument. Even when we came up, there was still that argument.
Right. So Mark Walters says we have the same problem when we attack and when we defend. We play like 8-year-olds and all clump in the same spot. I don't agree with that, Mark. Sorry, mate. When we attack, we're in one clump. Set pieces, one clump. I think our set pieces are poor. I agree with that. Defend all clump near the boy. I don't think that's our problem. The first goal we conceded yesterday was because they split our centre halves. Rodgers failed to win the header and then was pulled out of position, and he filled that spot. I don't think it was about clumping together. Mark Laws says not good enough. Questions need to be asked. What questions would you like asked, Mark? Feel free to throw them in. Andrew Nile says, why did we not start with Holohan? I agree. Hurst goes for a small squad, and then the onus of responsibility when we get a lot of injuries is on him for having a small squad, is it not? He can't complain about the injury front when he's the one that hasn't provided the backup with the team that we've currently got. Am I wrong there, gents?
No, you're dead right. We said this.
No, he spends his budget. He spends his budget, and he's had the whole summer that we asked for, that everyone asked for. So yeah. No, the squad and stuff like that. But I think what Marco's saying is, he's not, when he says questions need to be asked, he means about what's been delivered, doesn't it? At the minute, I'm just looking at the league table. Tuesday looks like a thriller. We've got the same problem. We talked about this last year, didn't we? And I don't care where the problem comes from. We've scored 12 goals in 10 games.
Yeah.
You're not going to, if you can't keep...
How many of them have been screamers? So it's not even like it's
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. How many goals have we created through the team rather than an individual piece of brilliance? Probably half a dozen, 7.
Yeah.
Something like that in 10 games, and that's a problem, and it's a problem we had last season. I agree with what Mike was saying about Wilson. We've been hoping for him to come back, but yesterday that was a really nice turn to wriggle away and a nice finish. But we can't pin. He's one of those players that's got better when he's been out of the team. We all I thought he did look good in pre-season. But we've all been pinning our hopes on him getting fully fit for about 3 weeks, haven't we?
Yeah.
When Wilson's back, you watch us charge up the table. It does look good, and it's unfortunate that we've got these injuries, but everybody gets injuries.
Yeah.
It's we're not scoring enough goals again. And if you've got a 27-year-old professional footballer,
well, look how many players
can you train him at 27 to finish better?
Well,
look at Bradford. How many players they had injured when we played them? They had loads of them. Andy Cook was out. If we had the same thing, we'd have been points decent, isn't it?
If we concede the first goal in a game, do you think we've got a good chance of winning it?
No, not a chance.
We got 1 goal yesterday. And yes, we were unlucky, but at the end of the day, we got 1 goal.
Well, I don't know, Gus. I do think when that's 1-0 just before they score, I think. If we finish better, and I won't make the point again, but if we finish better, we're drawing, we're winning that game easily. And with the Wilson point, I don't know if it's a building him up to be better than what it is. I think it's get somebody else up there that can create a different problem. He's got a bit of pace, a bit of physicality as well, can give defenders something else to think about. At the minute, all they've got, the 2 centre-halves, or 3 if they're playing 3 centre-halves, is Danny Rose to worry about. So get somebody else up there, get somebody else in the box, so 2 centre-halves aren't marking 1 centre-forward, and give them something else. Might not necessarily fall to Wilson, might fall to Issa or somebody else, but give them something else to think about and try something new. And I think 2 up top, without any proper number 10, because we don't have one, I think we have to go 2 up top and have a look at it, just to do something different. Because we're creating the chances, we're not scoring them. So stick somebody else in there and see where that works.
And do you think we'll do that on Tuesday then?
No,
I hope he does. I don't think he will, but I hope he does.
I think it's getting to a point now.
So he's not doing what the majority
needs
of fans
to be done.
want then.
Yeah, but I will also concede he knows a bit more than football than me. But
can I say something about this? Because if, for example, we've never done coaching badges, we've never done that, but I think we have more than a passing interest in football, and this is exceptionally arrogant. But for example, if you wanted to talk to someone about cars in your group of circles, you would go to the person that has a passing interest in cars. If someone has said, look, he's been watching Formula One since for 25 years, he's been down the mechanics and stuff, he's a little bit more knowledge than the sundry. And people aren't idiots, they know what they're watching.
Yeah, I didn't really mean it like
no. So it's a more of another point, really.
But also in the club as well, so he knows more about how fit he is, how that's sort of what I mean. But yeah.
My point is silly. It just comes down to the point when we praise a player, we don't get criticised for going, actually, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You're not professional. You have no idea. But when we're criticising them, that's when we don't know what we're talking about. It's not the other way around. Bruce, sorry, what were you going to say?
I think the thing, my point really was that historically, when the tipping point for a manager comes when the majority of the fan base disagree with what they're doing, what they're trying to do, that tends to be when the tipping point comes. If you've got at the moment you've got a group of disconvert people, you've got people that are unhappy, and I think you said earlier, Mike, about the fact that people are sort of they're hearsed out, and yes, there are 3, 4, 5, 10 accounts who were hearsed out at the start of the season. They're always hearsed out. I don't pay any attention to those accounts. That they're not they're
We're
not
that people,
they're not of
care.
any relevance to me. But at the moment, there are names putting themselves to posts that are there is still a relatively small but a growing number of people who are dissatisfied at the moment, and we need to turn that round, or else that's gonna keep mounting up, isn't it? Even amongst the people that you would consider have got a fair assessment and come from a middle ground rather than coming from he cupped his ear at me, so I don't like him.
Yeah, no, I think it's legitimate now. As I've said, I'm not going to say somebody's ridiculous now, because I disagree, but I think you can make a reasoned argument that could be something you think about. It just I always go back to what I think before a season, and I said to you guys, November, see how things are going, and then reach a conclusion. And I just think it's if you've said that and that's the decision you've made, or you've got to really stick to that. So I'm thinking, end of October, November, I'll see where we are. If we lose like 4 games on the bounce now, then maybe that comes sooner. But I did say sort of November time, see how things are. So I don't see how you can go back on that if that's your opinion at the start of the season, unless
I'm not trying to go back.
They're bad.
I'm not trying to go back on that.
No, I know. I'm just saying that's why I'm where I am.
As it happens, I agree with you. I said at the start of the season, if we don't look like we're making progress by Christmas, then he's been here for a few years now. But at the moment, the pressure's growing to turn it round because we're not in a good place at the moment. And there's only him and his players that can do that. We can support them, and hopefully people will do that on Tuesday and moving forward. But with every game that you struggle, the pressure grows. I don't think for what it matters, I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon, unless the results meant that the board could do nothing other than that. We've seen from the conference season, that the board were more sensible than most of us were with that awful run in October, November time, whenever it was. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime sooner.
I think the only time they'll make a decision, I think I've said this already, but I think that if they were to act decisively and swiftly, it would be because of the atmosphere behind the scenes rather than the results on the pitch. I think that's what would sway them to make a decision, rather than we've lost 10 games in a row, which unfortunately for us, Hurst has a tendency to not be able to turn bad form around. He is terrible at, averting that form. He's been very lucky. He's had patient owners that are allowing him to do that. Anyway, let's rattle through some of these messages because we've got loads of them. Thank you very much from everyone. HC Stummer says, I've never wanted to cry so much after a game after Sunday. Oh, come on. There's loads of them under Holloway. I can name at least 6. I really don't think the performance was that bad, but there's just something so frustrating with watching Town at the moment. I agree with that. Tim Hubbard says, how can Hurst ensure the players take their chances? As Alex says, they're professionals, so the onus is on them once on the field to play, to do the basics. HC Stormer says midfield is very fragile with Hunt and Andrews, and I've got a big question mark with Hunt. You've bought a guy in on a 3-year contract. He's nearly halfway through it, and what have we had to achieve? Because we paid a fee for him. And, he's Terry Taylor at the moment, with all, no disrespect to Terry Taylor, I guess. Simon Hodson says the mood in the car home was more that we had done enough to win the game and we're disappointed that we didn't take a point. Not the end of the world, and there are signs that things will turn around. I really hope so, Simon. I really do. Ben says starting to lean towards the Hurst out crowd. Or if Ben's going, when Hurst went attacking yesterday, we scored almost instantly. He's like, whoa. Do you think he's going to change his tactics? A lot of people saying he's looking stressed. I hope he is looking stressed. He should feel a bit of pressure because I don't think he's been in a better way. He's not had an opportunity to be better prepared and with better both finances and resources available to him than he has since he was Shrewsbury manager.
There's very few football managers in lower leagues of football from League One downwards that are going to have a better set of circumstances, a better environment, and a better ownership to achieve.
And didn't we say
he has to be under pressure because no, there's going to be no managers that are going to have those tools at their disposal.
Didn't we say in the summer at the start of the season how relaxed and refreshed he looked? I'm sure we did. He looked in interviews up until very recently. He's looked, and that's natural because obviously he's had he's had a really nice working environment. He's got a lot of the things that he's asked for, and when we're in a difficult place, and he's got to step up to the plate with his team and with his backroom staff and get us out of it, hasn't he? And hopefully he will.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I think Mike is to a point. There are some Hurst out people that are to a point now where they go, I don't care if Town succeed or not. I just want him gone. Like, I would much prefer to succeed under Hurst than without him. Ben says, Orsi scoring 2 in a row, 2 and against us. I was there. What a surprise. Mark was asking if Conte was suspended. Yes, he was. 5th booking. A wonderful fact that came out. Only one player more in the top 5 divisions in European football has made more successful tackles per game than Conte, which says that nobody else in the midfield is picking up the slack, if you want to be negative. Gav said, Hasty Summer says, Gav is incredible, has it all, even out jumps 6'3". I agree with you to a point, mate, but if Gav has a bad game, the team have a bad game. So, you know, he's not always a consistent performer, but when he's on his top, he is. Mark agrees with me, so we're all screwed because I also agreed to get Holloway in about getting the guy from Gateshead. Ben says, do you think the new owners will make a change? Well, I think we'll probably discuss that. Ollie says, why is it either Hurst or House? Can't I just be happy with the manager but want improvements? Exactly, Ollie. I think that's where the majority of people are. Richard says, I don't think if we remain sufficiently above the bottom 3, they will change him. The board will believe in the longer term backing and take Hurst into next season too. I think bottom 3, I'm not sure. And then there are even more. Guys, you are on it today. Stephen Page says 4-4-2 has to be the formation going forward. 2 strikers up front, Stephen, and then he can do whatever else he wants with it, because I think that's the way to go. If we lose up to Xmas, Hurst will buy in transfer market. Is that okay? Board will back him. I think they will, Richard. And Ollie says, is that Bruce's knee, or is he excited to see me? I assume he's got in his knee out. There we go.
That's a question we've all been thinking.
That is the girth of his penis.
That's the question I was thinking when I was staying at his house. Is it his knee? Or
and then GTFC Match Review came in on Twitter, says the first 5 games I was really hopeful for challenging for the playoffs. The last 5 games I would be happy with mid-table. Losing Mar has been massive. Rodgers doesn't look the same without him. He looks lost. We need a system change and an easier run of fixtures. I mean, easier than Bruce. Yes, person with the
Can I say something positive?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's very early in the season. Points off 6th.
Sorry, go again. I was being funny and removing positivity. Say your thing again. Funny.
I said it is very early in the season. We are 7 points off 6th.
How many are we off?
We win a couple of games very quickly, and you're still going to move, and you're going to move back up the table very quickly. So there you go. That's positive.
True.
Can I just jump in on a negative
4
thing?
points off.
Oh, Mike.
Well, it's not negative. I think it relates to the Mar point. I think over the last couple of games.
Yeah, you can still hear me. I can't hear anything else, guys. It's being weird. You're going to have to chat.
Can you
chat
hear me,
amongst yourselves.
Bruce, can you hear me?
Yes, Mike, I can hear you.
All right, well, I'll talk some shit again.
Right, you carry on.
Yeah, so I think the point about the centre house is good. I think we've definitely looked weaker.
I'm back.
Good, thank you.
I'll just call him a wanker then as well.
I think we look. We look loads better when Mar's in the team, and we look at C sometimes when he's not. And I've said this before. I am starting to think that Waterfall is becoming a bit of a liability with the way we want to play at times. The times he's played, he's always got an error in him, or just doesn't look comfortable. Looks like he's never had a football at his feet before. And I don't know if it's time to, in the next window, we really need to improve with centre-backs, because if Mar gets injured, it's either Malarkey and Rodgers or Waterfall and Rodgers. And I think we're wanting to play with the ball. We want to play higher up, more space in behind. And I think that's causing Waterfall a bit of a problem.
Thanks, mate.
No worries. The yawn halfway through just did me.
Sorry, no, it's not you. It's entirely unrelated.
It's not you. It's me.
Pressure washer. Yeah, it is you. It's not me. I don't agree with this. Norman Douglas says, I agree with Bruce talking sense. No, I'm not having it. He don't talk sense unless he's talking about something that happened in 1965.
He was probably talking about paying 99 quid for a pressure washer. That's the only sense I've heard him.
99 quid for a pressure washer is a bargain. A Karsha one.
Back there.
No, let's go back there. Anyone who hasn't missed, Farm Foods, 99 quid for a pressure washer, absolute bargain. And Bruce is selling an iPad. He's not sure.
Are we done at 40 minutes? Is that it?
How many laptops have you got left, Bruce?
One.
Oh my word, that's not bad.
Yeah,
God,
that's exciting.
Inland Revenue have got nothing on you, have they?
No,
Not
I
when
only
they
had
go
one.
in.
I only had one in the first place.
Did you? So you haven't sold any?
No, I've got one. I've got one left.
Do you know what? Barrow will beat them. We'll beat Tranmere. That's 6 points, and we're on our way. Tranmere have got Nigel Adkins, so it'd be quite entertaining to beat him.
Who's next?
I'd love it if we beat them.
Barrow's next at home.
And after Barrow, Tranmere, and then on the 21st. 20th. Here we go.
1 moment, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking at the fixture.
That must be a Tuesday. Hang on, 24th.
When we got Bradford in the tin pot.
Colchester have gone above us now, and they're dog shit. I'm not happy about that. That is a negative. And they played a game less than us.
Barrow, Tranmere, Accrington, Stockport is going to be difficult, and then Colchester and Doncaster and Morecambe up until November, and even Forest Green and Sutton, actually. So you got to the 28th of November when we play MK Dons. We've got one game what I think we can't realistically go into that expecting to win.
And that's my point. I'd like a more representative. I don't want to say we've had tough games, but I think we have. I don't want to use that as an excuse, but I'd like a more representative part of the season to draw conclusions on Hurst, the team, the investment, all these different types of things. So I think the fixtures you've just outlaid, that's if it's still like this, then that's when I sort of will probably change my opinion.
John Lewis has come back with a great thing. I think we're really missing Smith at the back. We absolutely do miss Smith. And one thing that Richard Smith, yeah, David, can't think of anything else.
Can we make a back four of Smiths?
Richard, David, and Andy. Is there any others?
Yeah, we need a right back, don't we?
Yeah, well, that's true.
Anyway, we're struggling there. Sorry, you were making a sensible point. I do apologize.
No, I wasn't, because it was the point I made this morning on the WhatsApp group. Josh Emmanuel has still not found a club. Is he not a better fake left back than Michel Fete?
I will say I'm a very firm critic of Fete. I think he did really well yesterday on the wrong side. In fairness,
there you go, Mike. Sam's not here. Can't hear it.
Because Sam's somewhere in Manchester building a railway line. I just thought I'd better do the bit for the Fete fan club.
Oh, it's party conference season, isn't it? Yeah, forgot about that.
What, does he get to go to that?
Yeah,
I don't think it's something like he gets to go. I don't think it's something to enjoy.
It's a pain in the arse. That
so basically, they're all going to be in some posh snooty hotels, aren't they? And he'll be in a hostel.
Not a posh snooty hotel. It'll be like a freaking it'll be like a Hilton. It won't be that good. They are boring. Sorry.
What, Tories or the conferences?
Just the conferences. Any of them. It doesn't matter which one's on. Unless it's the legalized marijuana party. That's the only one that would probably be half decent. I imagine the SNP one does good shortbread.
God. I need to think about that for a second then.
Sorry. Ben says, just don't see us winning any games at the minute. Every team has sussed us out. I'm definitely overreactive, but really worried. Don't worry, Ben. I think we'll be fine. I think we've got Vernon out. We've got, who else is out? There's loads of people.
Vernon, Green, Corey's out. We've got loads of players just coming back as well. Pike, Khan, Ganoa's not had a pre-season. It's probably a little bit more stretched now. Yeah, there is quite a list of players we've not had or are now coming back. Wilson. So at some point we only had one fit striker and two fit wingers.
Mike has asked a very sensible question from the podcast. He's saying, "Are we doing Scunny?" We did do an interview with Matt Ellis before this, who runs the Iron Brew podcast, who's given us a rundown. But it has been a hell of a week down the other end of the thing. Bruce, apart from everyone who's a Town fan, who else saw it coming? You got any thoughts on it?
Everybody. I mean, he was. It's crap. I feel sorry for the fans. Sorry?
I'm getting my mute button ready for any libelous stuff.
No, I feel sorry I feel a bit sorry for the fans because they're just fans of a football club, aren't they? I mean, it's a shit show, and with them going to Gainsborough or not or whatever, I don't see a way out of it really now. I mean, who's going to come in? You know, the people had long enough to come in. It took them long enough to get rid of what's his face in the first place, didn't it? You know, and get in Swan, and get somebody else to take it on. They had those other local people that came in and had a bit of a go at buying it, didn't they? Who's going to take it on? I just can't. I just can't see it. I feel sorry for them. I still hate the club, but I feel sorry for them.
No, Mark, we don't want them here. Mark says support our amnesty for Scunny fans wanting to jump ship. No, not welcome. Start their own club.
You know, I know we're a town podcast and things, and you know there are local rivals, but I do think some things are important, not just for football, but also for wider communities. And I think what we've seen go on down the road is an endemic problem that we've got in football. But for the grace of God, that could have been us. You know, there was times we were inviting people with ill repute into the football club. You know, so sometimes we need to think about that. And you know, if you look outside of the footballing rivalry, and as Bruce has said, it's still Scunthorpe on the pitch. I hate them. Off the pitch, they're neighbours, you know, they live down the road. These are real people with real bills. And I think the fact that you see this so often, that football clubs are allowed to be put in this position and threaten livelihoods and also threaten, you know, part of the community. These are not just football clubs, they're community assets, you know. If Grimsby Town Football Club dies, a part of me dies, you know, and a part of all of us die, you know. And the fact that this can be allowed to happen is an endemic problem in football that it's just not managed the way it should be. You see it up and down the country, and the fact that people like this are allowed to get in charge of football clubs and do this to communities and rip the soul out of them, or potentially rip the soul out of them, it's just criminal. And you know, it is Scunthorpe, but when you look at it in the light of day, these are football clubs that every town needs, because a working class northern town needs a football club more than anything, because there's not much else sometimes in our towns. And it pains me to see what we've seen down there. And I think the fundraising efforts they've done are great. And from my point of view, it's very much hostilities pause until they sort their shit out. And then I'll laugh at them for being in a pub league. But something needs to be done. And you know what's happened? There's been barely any coverage. You know, I listened to TalkSport. They talk about Sheffield Wednesday, you know, having issues with an owner for 30 minutes, but they don't talk about the absolute nonsense that goes on at Southend, or went on at Bury, or goes on at Scunthorpe. And some people don't care, and they need to be shown that everybody needs to care about local football clubs, because if that dies, a part of the town dies.
Andrew Neil and Niles comes back with a riposte saying, "I worked in Scunthorpe. They're not real people."
Yeah, well, they are. You see, my mum lives in Scunthorpe. You know, friends that go there every week. You think my mum's got friends who's got kids that go to the game. You see, you take that football club away from the kid. What's the kid going to grow? You know. What outlet
can I put a counterpoint to you, Mike? Because it says, because I'm very cynical about Scunthorpe United, and I hope they come through this, but the fans do take a portion of the blame. We've seen, you know, the way they've been able to splinter themselves. I mean, it's a little bit different to our situation, but the second Alex May was announced to be coming and he's a convicted fraudster, I don't think there was any right-minded town fan who wanted him here. And that can't be said about those up the road. And I know it's a little bit different because it was found out afterwards. But if anything, that makes it worse because he lied to the fan base and he didn't tell them the truth. And at least, at the worst, he omitted the truth and didn't tell them about that situation. And I think Scunny fans who have been, you know, I don't think their trust has been particularly vocal. I don't think they've been for the fans. And I think after the dust settles, there needs to be a real, inquest by Scunny fans into exactly whether or not the people who lead that trust have the right frame of mind to do it and to continue with it, because they should be the ones that are 100% at the front being a rallying call for it. And I think there are a lot of Scunny fans as well who need to take a long, hard look at themselves and whether in this, you know, the stark reality of in the future, whether they feel they had the best interests and they can say they did what they needed to make that club survive. And I've been really surprised in how they've done it as a fan base. And it's great to see now that they're starting to pull the right way. But, you know, they also lost to Buxton, which was fucking hilarious.
I think we did cover that with Matt, didn't we, about that? And I think to one of the comments John Lewis has put in the chat about, I think so, a lot of them were. I think it has been a bit of a broken broken fan base.
I don't think many did. No, I don't think. I disagree.
No, not enough. Not enough. I'm saying some did, but not enough. And that, as you say, when the dust settles, they need to look at themselves and say, how has that been allowed to happen? And we did talk about Matt, and I think the consensus was they thought it's anybody else but Swan. And from our point of view, if Jason and Andrew weren't so good, but it was somebody different than Fenty, would we maybe be more susceptible to that? I don't know.
I don't know either. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it. Bruce, have you got anything to add on the game or anything else you would like to talk about before we get off?
I'd like us to win on Tuesday, please.
Really? Is that it?
Yeah.
Just a good. Will you take a scrappy 1-0, or do you need us to absolutely hammer them? There should be. Shall we get a new flag that says "For vengeance against Wetherspoons" or something?
They haven't got Billy Waters anymore, have they?
No, he doesn't play for anyone.
No,
I'd love him.
So that's good. That's good that he's not there. We need to win. We need to win, but I need to be entertained at games as well.
I agree. We all do, and the sooner it comes, the better, because it does feel like that feel-good factor is ebbing away, and it's very hard to recreate it when it's gone, isn't it?
Yeah, I think.
Yes.
I think we'd all love to be entertained. I think at the minute, we'd take a scrappy 1-0 on Tuesday and move on to the weekend. I think we'd all take that if we was offered it.
Yeah.
4-0.
Okay.
I want a 4-0. 4-0. I'll
to us, yeah.
Next weekend.
3-0.
Yeah.
3-0. And I want someone to pretend to defecate into a toilet in front of Barrow fans just to show them the suffering that Bruce and everybody else had.
What I was going to say though, they've scored 11 goals and we've scored 12.
Oh, both teams to score. That's a hell of a bet.
1-1, 1-0.
0-0 all over it.
It doesn't look like it's going to be a 5-4.
Can I just also say the ref was shit on Saturday? There was a penalty before Clifton's miss. He should have sent that bloke off. That's the second one we've had this year when they should have had a red for. Do they not know what fucking last man means, Bruce? What's going on?
They ain't got a clue.
They have not got a clue.
I did think there was. I don't want to moan about the ref, but we will do anyway. I did think there was a couple early on where we won the ball up really high, and he gave a free kick. And I'm thinking, early in the game we've won the ball. Harry's won the ball early, high up the pitch. We could get one goal from that. 1-0 up early doors, different game, and I was frustrated with that because they were great challenges.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right. Thank you very much for all listening. We're going to leave you with Matt Ellis, myself and Mike, and Bruce joined at the end as well, to have a quick chat about what's going on at Scunny, to get his perspective. There is a crowdfunder page for them. If you want to put some cash in to pay for the staff who haven't been paid this year, we'll put it in the links for the podcast, and we'll put it on social media as well. Buy a print as well. Buy some stickers. We've got a load more on there as well. So, feel free. Buy Bruce's laptop and iPad as well. We'll be all golden, and we can all buy our kids things for Christmas. Mike doesn't have anything to sell apart from himself.
Just my soul, the highest bidder. My soul is available like Sam's. Will be soon.
Sold to the highest bidder. Right. See you all later. Have a nice day, gents. I will see you next week. We don't do the whole thing. I'll have a chat on WhatsApp, and we shall see you soon. See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Evening, everybody. We're just going to do a quick preview to show that we actually do some preparation every now and then. Matt has braved the journey across to the lighter and better side of the M180 to join us to give us a quick update on what's currently going on down the road. I know most of you are pretty much aware, but Matt has been pretty much embroiled in it since the start of this week. Initially banned by the club, and has since done quite a few media appearances, and is now also heading up, not headhunting, the new crowdfunder, which is out there that you can donate to make sure that the staff, anyway, one of the questions I asked Matt actually, to make sure that they get paid, because they haven't been paid this month as well. So Matt, welcome to the DN35 podcast. Pleasure to have you along. This is a rarity, shall we say?
Yeah, I mean, this must be the first time a Scunthorpe fan's been on your podcast, right? It must be.
I think the last time we were all in the league together, I don't think podcasts existed. But in terms
Oh, mate.
Well, we're all about to, COVID was not a thing, at least. So, I mean, I guess the question is the crowdfunder is what? Currently about £67,000, which is an incredible amount from, all around the world. Is that just for the staff, or are the players covered by the PFA? Because I've heard contrasting reports on that. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, well, I think we're up to 60,767 as we record this. Yeah, like it's very much kind of a little bit of a grey area at the moment, and I think the PFA are obviously in contact with the club, and they're in contact with the players, and there's some work being done there. We're not sure on that much detail of that at the moment. However, originally we definitely set out to make sure that we could cover the wages of the non-playing staff, and then stretch into the coaches and even Jimmy Dean as well, who's not been paid since August.
Wow.
So that was the initial thing. And then obviously, when we look at kind of players' wages, it's a little bit of a different kettle of fish just because of the sizes of the wages that obviously they're on and things like that. So, but yeah, the initial thing was to try and safeguard people's mortgages, people's bills, and for them to be able to put sort of food on the table for the families.
And I guess the question is, I mean, this is phenomenal at the moment, but there's no real, end in sight, really. You don't know exactly how much of this might need to stretch for staff that are going to go into Christmas, maybe without a guaranteed income.
Yeah, that's the immediate worry. I am very reliably informed that there is work going on behind the scenes now to try and save the club in terms of a local consortium.
Good stuff.
I'm not sure how far along that is, and we don't have that many details because it's obviously a very fluid situation. But obviously, the hope is that somebody does come in and buy the club in good time to be able to kind of maybe prevent things like administration, but also, as you said, to kind of secure the wages going forward, because obviously there's only so much we can do to raise money at the end of the day. There's going to have to be some kind of serious monetary intervention to kind of secure the wages going forward.
And I guess, evening, Mike. And I guess the question is, if there's something going on currently with the local consortium, has Hilton, or whatever his name is, got to a point now where he's just handed the keys back to you guys and just said, I'm washing my hands of it, and the only thing I'll have is a communication with the people that want to, pay for what I effectively, I guess, is a badge and a few people on a staff roster.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a weird one because obviously Hilton announced that he was going to step away, that we were going to Grimsby, that it was withdrawing funding, and that the club was up for sale in a collection of different announcements, officially and unofficially through Facebook. He was still engaging with fans on Facebook relatively recently, until people started asking him if they could get a refund for their season tickets and a refund for the $18.99 membership, or whatever the hell it's called now. And then he sort of quite quickly disappeared after that, which is obviously frustrating for people who would like a refund. So yeah, we're not really sure that the club is still being run day to day. I know Lee Turnbull's still there. He's the chief operating officer. He's obviously kind of very, very well connected with Scunthorpe, being around in certain different guises over the years. I know he's working at the moment to try and sort of steady the ship and things like that. And he released he released a statement, I believe it was yesterday, just saying thank you to everybody who's kind of contributed to the crowdfunder, and thank you to obviously ourselves, Iron Brew, and also the Iron Hour as well, for kind of getting that together.
So there were two directors as well that left at the start of the week. Am I right? What were their roles within the club? Because that seemed to, one of the many reasons, aside from, banning yourselves, but that's not, I mean, our old former chairman never had a problem with banning Humberside and alike whenever he felt like it. So what were those two directors' roles, and were they significant in this sort of, I guess what we could call snowballing of the situation over the week?
I think so. I mean, obviously early in the week, the banner orders came out Monday morning, and then I assumed there was probably some disquiet from the board, as you'd expect, to just say to him, what's going on here? Surely we can't just ban fans out of on a whim. But yeah, we lost a couple of board members. One of them, I believe, was a solicitor who was involved in the case against Peter Swan when it went to the court in Leeds a few weeks ago. She's left, and I think there's another director being left. It's difficult to say past that what they actually have been doing, because they've only been there for a very short space of time. You can look in Company's House; the sort of some have arrived and gone as fast as before the doors closed behind them. Really, so
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, go ahead. Mike's got a question. Yeah, the guy at the back.
Hi, Matt. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Hi, mate. Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, firstly, just massive well done for everybody chipping in. That fundraising thing is quite exceptional. So I'm sure we will signpost anybody that hasn't seen that where they can get to that.
We put our 80 quid in.
Yeah, we technically own, I think it's a percentage point now, isn't it, or something?
I've already got a chat with the man at Jimmy Dean about the performance at Buxton.
But I have a question. I mean, watching from afar, and sort of how the fans have been over the last few months. What's your feel for how the fans are as a group now? So I know there's a lot of splintering, and you see bits on social media and clicks and what have you. Has the last couple of days sort of brought everybody round to one way of thinking about the club, and has that sort of side of the two sides sort of warring against each other, has that sort of gone back into the background now that things are so stark about this is an existential threat to your club? Is it now more of a firmer united front, so to speak?
Yeah, I think so. I think it probably happened in two stages. It happened on Monday when the tweet from the Iron Brew Twitter page went out regarding the ban and order, the kind of screenshot of that. That's on like 5.6 million views or something ridiculous. That was kind of the start, and people think, actually, wait a minute, if this guy's banning fans for no reason, there's got to be something wrong. And obviously, fast forward after that whole media storm there into towards the end of the week with the kind of admission that we're going to be moving to Gainsborough, and obviously the funding has been immediately withdrawn. And I think those two things, for probably 98% of the Scunthorpe fan base, has dropped a lot of scales from eyes, plastered a lot of egg on faces, and things like that. So I think that it's a very much united the fan base to be aware that the club is on the abyss, or on the edge of the abyss at the moment. And the reason for that at the moment is because David Hilton's withdrawn his funding and seemingly dislocated himself from the club.
Yeah, because watching from afar and not having the emotions of it being my football club, it's all seemed a little bit ridiculous. Do you think it's just a case of some people it was anybody but Swan, and that sort of narrative has held support for Hilton, Anderson, White for, I don't know if he hyphenates those or what have you. Do you think that's held the support for him for quite a while, just because it's not Swan?
Yeah, it's been very difficult to kind of make clear messages, because there's so much noise in the background for Swan. Like very early on, we were kind of the Iron podcast was kind of conflated with Swan and saying because we used to interview him, that means that we're sort of mates with him. Complete nonsense, of course. We only interviewed him because he wouldn't talk to Humberside. We were the only people who talked to, so we were trying to provide this content. He actually had a go at me on a podcast for comparing him to Fenty. So there you go. He did not like that. But anyway.
I remember that clip. Yeah.
I was listening to that. I was in my caravan on the Fitties, and I was sat there, and I thought, "You wait, pal."
Can you sound less Grimsby there, Mike? Bloody hell!
Less Yorkshire. I was on me holiday to Cleethorpes. I came for weeks there
for the day.
Yeah. But yeah, I listened to that, and I thought, you just wait, because the writing was on the wall for a while. So I just think there's been a massive rupture at your club, which meant the fans haven't been united, and that's sort of allowed a little bit of this to happen. And I, again, watching from afar, I've seen the stuff you guys have put out, and the things we've seen. I just thought it's ridiculous how people haven't cottoned onto this quicker. But I suppose when you're involved in it at the coalface sort of thing, you don't necessarily see the bigger picture that others might do, perhaps.
Yeah, it was a difficult one. We took quite a lot of I wouldn't call it abuse, but flack, if you like, just because of all the situation, and we were kind of asking questions of Hilton in a very kind of civilized way, like, why is he doing it like this and stuff like that. There was absolutely no abuse or anything like that. It was all conducted in the correct way. And then we'd obviously get flack from Scunny fans and stuff like that, saying, you're still Swans mates, which is complete nonsense. And also kind of, it was difficult, but I thought people would have been more aware to it, just because we went through this whole thing with Swan. Early on in Swan's tenure, people were very behind it. He was putting money into the club. We were doing really well in the league. And then once he started to withdraw that funding, and it started to go downhill really, really fast. And then obviously there's a lot of stuff that came out about kind of the gambling stuff and stuff like that. So it was like that. And then we're like, well, actually, we've got another owner coming in. We're not quite sure about his past. We think he's kind of done time for fraud. We think he's changed his name 4 or 5 times, and people just weren't interested. We were trying to say, just be careful, because look what happened before. Surely you're kind of a little bit more sensitive to these kind of owners coming in, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. And up until kind of maybe a week ago, people were very, very much behind Hilton.
And it was, do you know what? It's a real weird one, that, Matt, because we were, we've been really interested in the Scunny thing for far too long. And one of the things when Hilton came on board was we had a couple of messages from people connected in, the local area, should we say, look, just be careful of this guy, because, don't criticize too widely, because, there are rumors abound. And it's just amazing that nothing ever came of it. And that was when he first joined. It's incredible that whoever it is that does the fit and proper persons test is allowing, such a cursory glance of a person to run a community asset. It's quite astounding, really. And I guess, I know your ban has been rescinded, if I'm right. Is that right?
No, that's not correct. I'm still banned from the
fine.
club. Yeah.
Okay, fine. And then there was another one that I heard, which is a person who runs a popular, tinfoil hat Facebook group, who's been quite, vociferous on social media. Has he been banned as well? Because I heard that today as well. Herbert.
Yeah, thing. If you're referring to Jason Herbert, I believe he's being banned at the moment. He says he's not. And this, by the way, I don't know what we want to say about this. I don't want to talk
whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah. Herbert, a very strange guy. He tried to dox me and reveal my personal details just because he thought that I had something to do with some abuse Hilton's daughter received on the Iron Brew forum.
on the forum. Yeah. And you've got to moderate it. That's all. You're not responsible for the posts. And, Rob Sedgwick, who runs the Fisher here, is, nodding manically because he also had run-ins with former owners as a result and tried to close down the page and the like.
Yeah. Well, we've had similar kind of run-ins in the past with previous owners because of that. And yeah, so it was weird. So he kind of used that, I believe, as the excuse to ban myself and Matt Blanchard, who's the guy who runs the website and also on the Iron Brew podcast as well. So yeah, the whole thing's been a complete fucking circus. Excuse my language. I've never seen anything like it.
You can't follow both of our clubs without using the fucking F word on this podcast. Don't you worry about that. My God, what do you think we were doing in 2019 when you lived on a pleasured and we lived on a cursed island and Van Veen somehow scored with the only shot of the game? But there we go.
I was there, mate. That's one of the best things I've ever seen live.
Well, I'm glad we've got something for you to hold on to. We'll make you a mug.
We had the whole of COVID, didn't we? We had the whole of COVID, though, to enjoy our last visit to Scunthorpe.
That was it. The one, was it Billy Clark, Bruce, drinking whatever the hell was in that coffee cup?
It was the last game, wasn't it? It was the last game before COVID, and it was the easy. It probably was a sign of where their club were going. To be fair, it was the easiest 2-0 away win in a derby you're ever gonna get.
We were just going, nothing can go wrong now. Holloway's amazing.
We've got Holloway. We've got Holloway. Everything's good.
Sorry,
go on.
Kev the Ginger Pig, didn't he?
Yes, he did. That was very funny.
Bless Kev.
But
I've sort of been listening to what you've been saying, and I've read a bit about what's going on and kept sort of abreast of it on social media. Since it all started to go wrong, is it not that Swans just wanted the land anyway? Is it long to? Is it from the outside looking in? He transferred the ground obviously as a few years ago to his Cool Silk or whatever they're called.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he did that to secure against the money that the club owed him because he obviously wildly invested his family's money. Did he not? If he took the ground as a sort of, it was basically that was his money. He wasn't getting his money back, but he's got the land, hasn't he? And is it not really that he probably chose a charlatan to sell to because he probably knew this might happen and that there would never be the whatever million that he needed to come up with for the land. So Swan's got the land that he wants anyway. Or am I wildly wrong with that?
I mean, there's some truth to that. And I honestly think that Peter Swan regrets selling to David Hilton. I 100% believe that. And yeah, I think that. Well, I mean, obviously there was some planned development on the surrounding land of Glanford Park for flats and things like that as part of the redevelopment of the ground when everybody was on
now, isn't it? They're going to build a hospital. They're going to build a hospital on the other side of the road, aren't they?
I'm not sure about that, mate.
Oh, okay.
You might be right. I don't know.
I'll be very quiet then.
That's all right. I know they were going to
Sam tell us that.
No,
that they
somebody else
did. They were going to put some NHS provision for some things on the land, but I don't think there was going to be a hospital built.
I definitely read the hospital thing, Alex, in online somewhere. So
thanks, mate.
Was it a lad from Scunny said that he's not heard anything about it. I'm not sure that we're the best placed either to sort of.
Could you imagine? Can you imagine now
that this is Scunthorpe?
Can you imagine the 35-page thread there would be on the fishy if this was anything? They've never said this on the Rival podcast that it's going to be sold to a hospital. But yeah, it's. Do you know what, Matt? I rivalries aside, because I've always thought the best thing to have is us. We're in the Championship for fucking ages and no one came and joined us. So we came down to you lot, trying to find Hull, Scunny and Lincoln. You're all pissed off. But it's such a dire situation. And I guess, we were looking at stupid things like, the transport to try and get to Gainsborough, because we both know what it's like to live in the middle of nowhere, like in terms of getting public transport anywhere. I guess the question is how fans are going to be able to cope with that and whether or not it's even going to go through, because Gainsborough came out and said that it had been not been agreed, then had been agreed. Do we know what else is there?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if
sorry. Literally every question that you will get, it starts now with a sigh.
No, it's all right. Yeah, sorry about that, mate.
No, it's you. Just a situation.
I believe that the original deal to ground share with Gainsborough was done. I might be wrong. Done under one chairman for Gainsborough, and then since all this shit's happened, the chairman's changed. So I think there was a little bit of confusion there. And then obviously Gainsborough put another tweet out saying something else, like just to clarify it. Again, it's still that we've heard nothing official from the club since saying we're moving to Gainsborough, so nothing's been cleared up. There's been no, how is it going to work logistically for season tickets? Is there going to be enough seats?
Yeah, not to mention, it's an entirely new police force. It's not like just Humberside are moving from one location to another. You're having to now work with Lincolnshire Police, who, only have to do a couple of country fairs every now and then, and occasionally have to look after 3 people from Lincoln.
Yeah. So it's weird, and I think that was the red line for a lot of Scunny fans saying we're moving to Gainsborough. So we move away from Glanford Park. It's just like why even bother? It's not really the football club anymore. So. Yeah, I still don't. I'm not completely convinced that that's actually going to go ahead and happen. I'm not sure. We don't know. There's been nothing from the club on it. There's been no clarity. There's been no clarity in anything. People are getting really worried. Looking for refunds for the season tickets and stuff like that, and they've just been kind of stonewalled by their club. That's not the fault of the staff who work there. It's the fault of the owner who's just disappeared. So, yeah, it's it's dire, isn't it? Look, we don't know what happens after the Brackley game on Saturday. Sorry, that's being billed as the last game at Glanford Park, but we don't know what that means after that. But we just hope that in that kind of in between period, somebody's going to come and buy the club, because it needs to be done pretty quickly before we have to start selling players off and stuff like that. But at this point, we wanted to get up, we wanted to get promoted from National League North. As long as the club survives to the end of the season, I don't care what happens, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? That's where we are now, obviously.
Yeah, of course. And so the crowdfund is still live. You can go to the Iron Brew website, and I guess, it's also on social media. If you haven't, donated, we'll put it in a link to the podcast notes, and we'll put it up as well on Twitter too. Matt,
the best way to find it. Sorry, Matt. I was going to say, the best way to find it, I just kind of Google it and just type in support for Scunthorpe United staff, and it will pop straight up. You shouldn't have a problem finding it. But my thanks to Grimsby fans who've been kind of retweeting and sharing, but also Grimsby fans who's been donating to this. It's really, really kind of heartwarming, and Scunthorpe fans won't forget that. I guarantee it. And a thank you to your co-owners as well, who've both put £500 in each, which is ironically more than our chairman's actually put in. So there we go. So thank you to those guys as well.
Do you know what, Matt? We hope it's it's going to come all out. You're going to come out of this absolutely fine, and we'll find ourselves in the league one day, and we will not let you forget it. Don't you worry.
And we will see you at the next shareholders meeting.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Just a load of town fans going.
Come down. I'm sure there was some Grimsby fans in Glanford Park yesterday in solidarity. I've been told that quite reliably. Nice. So that's quite something, isn't it?
Yeah,
probably scouting some of the youth players out, to be honest.
I don't mind donating, but I'd draw the line at actually visiting that place without town playing there, to be fair.
Bruce,
that place. The animosity's still there, isn't it, Bruce?
No, I can care for the fans, but I still don't care for the club.
Do you know what? I'm just like the idea that there should have been some Scunny fans yesterday that made going in screwdrivers and about going, I'm fucking taking my seat home. I'm not having anyone else have this bloody thing. It's mine. I'm taking it back. But all I'll tell you, Matt, is I helped make the sign once. And what did it used to be? It wasn't. Was it Brickcon or was it Doncaster? It was a big old above the terrace.
You used to call it Doncaster Road. I mean, we still call it the Donny Road End. It used to be. It's changed names so often I can't even remember. It's a new sponsor every year.
All I remember is that we did the sign and it said Up the Mariners underneath it. Is that all I could remember?
Right, yeah. We just call it the away end.
It's changed names more than the owner.
It has, yeah.
Matt, thank you very much. I know you're in demand and we're just, wasting your time. So thank you very much. Good luck with it all. And we'll be all following quite closely. Thank you very much.
No.
Open wide for some soccer!
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1130. Go! At 1130.
I don't think I've ever wanted to be on a stand more than my life running there. They're going crazy. They got a penalty here. There'll be fish flying about there. There's no tomorrow.
What a magnificent piece of football! A really, really good goal. You can't make it straight like that.